There comes a point when part of the reason you stay is because you don't think you deserve anything better. And everything that you've ever been called and the way that you've been treated is what you believe you deserve.
Finally, she just said, "Brenda, you never would have done that if you had a choice. And they locked you in the room. They raped you."
He had even sold our daughter's stuff. All of our clothes were trashed. What he didn't sell, he had cut up. He started to kind of get that mentality, if I can't have you, then nobody's gonna have you.
Looking back, I feel like everything seems so simple. And now it feels like everything is so complicated. Everything is confusing. It's like it's cast a shadow on the rest of my life because I'm trying to figure out now who I am and who other people are and who can be trusted.
I never even knew that any place like the Alexandra house existed until my son was just born. He was a month old, so Chloe was probably about 4.
We were in contact after there was an incident with her daughter's father.
I had gotten a phone call that her dad was not in a good state of mind and that I should go check on her.
He was a drug user and he wasn't going to give her daughter back to her, and she had to go in there.
I drove over to his house, and when I got in the driveway, I just had this really icky feeling in my stomach. So I started to walk downstairs, but all the lights were turned off. It was pitch black, and there was a TV on, but it was just a blue screen. And my daughter was sitting there crying, and Dwayne was fidgeting. He was biting his fingernails and kind of rocking back and forth. And so I just said, I was just in the neighborhood. I just want to stop by and give her a hug and say goodnight. And he started yelling at me to get out. He grabbed me by the hair, and he started hitting me and then trying to get Chloe off of me. She was clawing me, trying to stay on me, so he was pulling her hair. I don't remember, but I guess I had reached out and I had started scratching him and pinching him, just trying to get him to get off of me, and then I ran up the stairs and I threw Chloe in the car and we flew down the road. And once we got further down the road closer to home, I pulled over and made sure that she was okay. She was very upset. And it was at that point that she said, "Why don't you call the police? Because he scares me and he hurts us, and why don't you protect us?" And I knew for the first time that that's what she'd been feeling for all those years, that I was not protecting her. I was not taking care of her, and she was scared.
Well, I think the most important thing is that we offer hope, that there's a way out. We offer the safety for that individual or her family.
Alexandra House is here to create a safe place and healing for those who have been abused, and for those who need somebody who cares about what has happened to them, who need somebody who believes their story and doesn't blame them for what has happened to them, and to really help them down that road to a better life that is free from violence.
Alexandra House actually started in 1977, and it was a task force. And they started the 24-hour crisis line. And once that crisis line opened, they realized they needed more than just a crisis line for women to call and say, "I've got, this is happening to me." They needed to figure out how to find a safe place for these women and kids to go to.
I've worked with children, a little boy who had his clothes cut up by his mom's abuser. I've worked with children that have told me that they were worried about their mom getting killed.
The kids are amazingly resilient. The things that some of these children have seen and gone through is, can be pretty bad. And so coming into the shelter, it's a safe place for them, and so it's safe for them to act out. And so there's a lot of issues, kids walk in the door with. Obviously we have our shelter, our emergency shelter, which is what people think about when they think of Alexandra House, and we're most known for, it's the shelter. But we are so much more than that. In fact, we serve many more women and kids through our community program than we do through our shelter.
We offer support groups to help with the healing process. And it's not just domestic or sexual violence support groups. It's support groups for parenting. It's educational support groups. It's self-esteem support groups to help them move forward in their life. We need volunteers throughout the different programs. We really, especially when it comes to more direct service volunteers, the on-call hospital response, the shelter advocates, the child care advocates, those are really where most of our needs lie, because those are the volunteers that really help us to provide that direct service.
A good volunteer is always someone that is reliable and will show up when they're scheduled. A good volunteer is somebody that can come in and enjoy connecting with the women and children here, or with the staff if that's all they're working at. A good volunteer has a desire within them to help.
It would definitely be someone who's not afraid to step in, who's not afraid to try to help. If they don't know something, they'll ask. But most important, I do believe it's someone with patience and compassion. There's so many things that volunteers do here to make a difference. We have organizations that come here and do different projects around the shelter that I think make a monstrous difference. We have a group that comes every summer and puts a little garden in the backyard. And that might seem really trivial, but the kids like to weed it and water it. They take pride and they take good care of it. We also have volunteers who do childcare so their moms can go to support groups or their moms can meet with their advocates one-on-one, and that is immeasurable.
All of our volunteers will receive some sort of a training. Some get more training than others. The direct service volunteers, the on-call hospital advocates, and the shelter advocates, they go through a full 50 hours of training, which is offered twice a year. So it is a big commitment, but we do our best to make the training very fun. They learn a lot through that training, and we've had a lot of positive comments of how the training really prepares them to do what it is we're asking them to do.
And then we have volunteer opportunities for individuals who don't have that kind of time, and they want to come in and they want to do something. So we have project volunteer opportunities. So there's always something that needs to be cleaned or something that might need to be fixed, lawn work, or activities like one-time activities.
We once had a group come in with a magician one afternoon for the kids to have a good time and just relax, and that was really fun as well.
Sometimes when I leave the shelter and I close that door, I'll say, wow, I really had fun today. The kids and I really had fun today, and we spent a lot of time laughing. You feel so valued when you volunteer, and I'm sure that's true wherever you volunteer. You come away feeling valued, and you feel a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and that maybe you did impact somebody's life.
We all have a few extra hours, I think, every month to give to somebody else who really needs to see a caring face and to support an organization that is benefiting members of this community. And volunteerism isn't just somebody giving of themselves. You receive a whole lot of benefits in return. Just seeing somebody who has smiled and laughed for the first time in many months is very fulfilling as a volunteer and as a staff member at Alexandra House. There's a saying that says, volunteers don't necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. And so I think in our busy lives, it's sometimes the last thing we think about doing is having the time to volunteer and to give back.
And our mission is to empower victims of domestic and sexual violence, and in the process doing that through our education and support and advocacy, but also in working with our community partners to inspire social change. So it's also about prevention, it's not intervention. How do we get our community involved? This isn't a problem that Alexandra House can solve alone.
I don't come here for myself. If I got up in the morning to go to a job for myself, I'd be working in a place where I made, 10 times what I do here. I come here to make a difference and to try to go to bed knowing that I made the world a little bit better than it was when I woke up. And that should be everybody's goal and everybody's mission in life, is to, you know, to try to do something nice, make a difference in our community, make something better. And why wouldn't you want to do that here? It's a great place to start.